Good morning, class. How you doing? Okay, today we're going to talk about production possibility curves. And I am recording this so we can use it for those people that are late or that missed today's session. So let's get right into this. Learning objectives, interpret a production possibility curve. Explain how production possibility curves show efficiency, growth, and opportunity costs. Explain why a country's production possibilities depend on its resources and technology. Key terms: production possibility curve, production possibility frontier, basically the same thing. So you can think of those as interchangeable. Efficiency, underutilization, basically opposites of one another. If you have efficiency, you are utilizing your resources correctly and efficiently. And if you're underutilizing, you're inefficient. And of course, the law of increasing costs, which we'll get into. Okay, so we're going to take a look here. What the heck does Mr. Clifford say about this? If you guys don't know who Mr. Clifford is, he's one of the crash course dudes. So let's see what he says. All right, you should be able to see it.
Distance. It's made it clear that the best memories don't happen miles apart. They happen when we're all together. Vacations closer than you think. Book the home.
Hey, how you doing, econ students? This is Mr. Clifford. Welcome to ACDC Econ. Right now you're learning about the first graph in this class. It's called the production possibilities curve. The production possibilities curve presents potential prospects for the production of a pair of products. It's a pillar of the program and pupils have to practice. This graph is totally important. First, we're going to start off with a table that shows the production possibilities of two goods. In this case, videos and hats. And this example is actually for me. If I quit teaching, I spent all my time, I could make hats, right? Using this loom, hats that look like this. Basically, you wrap the yarn around this and it can wrap around itself and the hat kind of grows out from the bottom. You kind of tie it off to the end. As you can see from the chart, if I spent all my time working on hats, I could produce 30 hats in a week. Yo, what's up, bro? If I spent all my time and resources making econ videos, I could make 4 videos. But as you can see, I wouldn't be able to make any hats. So this chart shows my production possibilities. It shows me the different combinations of hats and videos that I could make using all of my resources. To get the graph, we just have to plot these points, and that's going to give us a graph that looks like this. This is the production possibilities curve, or sometimes called the production possibilities frontier. The best part about this graph is the fact that it shows all the key concepts that you've been learning so far. It's going to show scarcity, trade-offs, opportunity costs, and efficiency. It shows the idea of scarcity because it shows that I cannot produce anywhere beyond the curve. So the curve, or the frontier, shows the idea that I have limited resources. The graph shows trade-offs because if I decide to start producing videos, I have to give up hats. Or if I produce hats, I have to give up videos. Opportunity cost is shown by the specific number of hats I give up when I make a video. For example, when I move from combination A to combination B, I'm producing more videos, but I'm also losing hats. The number of hats I lost is the opportunity cost. In this case, producing the first video cost me 1 hat. This graph shows efficiency because if I'm producing a point right here, where I'm producing only 2 videos and 5 hats.
All right, you guys are following along? Just a simple yes or no in the chat will do.
I am inefficient. This is because I'm not using all of my resources to the fullest. I'm not somewhere on the actual curve. So any combination inside the curve is inefficient because I could produce there, but I don't want to. I can produce more of both goods. That means that the line itself must be the idea of efficiency. If I'm producing any one of these combinations, I'm using all my resources to the fullest. And again, a point here outside the curve is impossible because I don't have enough resources to get there. But the curve can shift, but wait for it, that comes later. Right now it's time for you to practice calculating opportunity cost. So I want you to use the table and figure out the opportunity cost from each one of these. So calculate the opportunity cost from A to D, to B to C, from E to D, and from C to A. Remember, opportunity cost is what we're giving up. And so look for the thing that we're losing. Don't forget.
All right, so let's just do the first one together, first couple. From A to D, what is the opportunity cost of producing, you know, going from 0 to 3 videos? How many hats are we giving up? Did I give that away? Kinda, huh? What's the opportunity cost of going from A to D? 15 what? 15 hats, yeah. So in order for, you know, videos take a lot of time, right? Production value, stuff like that. So for every 3 video, I mean, for every, to increase up to 3 videos from 0, he's given up 15 hats. So let's try one more, B to C. And let's do both directions this time. What's the opportunity cost from B to C? Let's do B to C. What's the opportunity cost of going from B to C? 4 hats. Is that right? Yeah, so that would be if we're moving from, yeah, B to C in terms of videos, right? From one video, for one video, it's gonna be 4 hats right there. Now, can we go from hats to, if we look at hats, if we go from, I guess the interesting thing is hats is always in a declining mode, right? As we go from left to right, and videos are in increasing mode. So we really wouldn't want to look at the inverse, which would be going from 29 hats to 25, because that's really more a result of increasing our video capacity, right? So I think we're good on that. Let's keep going.
I get to clarify if I'm giving up hats or if I'm giving up videos. The opportunity cost from A to D is 15 hats. Notice, from combination A, we're producing 0 videos and 30 hats. Now, when we go over here to D, we're going to have 3 videos and we're going to have 15 hats. That means we lost 15 hats. That's the opportunity cost. The opportunity cost from combination B to C is 4 hats. The opportunity cost from E to D is 1 video. And the opportunity cost from combination C to combination A is 2 videos. Now, it's super important to be able to calculate opportunity cost, but we're not done. Let's do different examples. So in this case, let's do corn and wheat, and let's do cactus and pineapple. It turns out that the shape of the curve is very important. So this top one shows a constant opportunity cost between corn and wheat. This is because the resources to produce corn and wheat, the ground, the climate, are very similar. So when you produce a certain amount of wheat, you give up a certain amount of corn. And when you produce that same amount of wheat, you give up the same amount of corn. That shows constant opportunity cost. But down here, when it comes to cactus and pineapples, when you produce the very first pineapple, you give up just a little bit of cactus. When you produce the next pineapple, you give up even more. The next one even more. And the last one, a whole lot of cactus you give up. This is called increasing opportunity cost. It's because the resources, the land and climate to produce pineapples and cactus are completely different. But the plural of cactuses is cacti. Cacti! 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 So when we first start producing pineapples, we're going to give up just a little bit of cacti. This is because we're going to use the land that's more suited towards pineapples, and it's not very good at producing cacti, and so we're going to lose a little bit of cacti and get a good amount of pineapples. Now, as we keep doing that over and over again, we're going to give up more and more cacti. This is because we're using resources that are less and less suited towards pineapples, until finally, right here, we're producing just a little bit more pineapples, but giving up a whole lot of cacti. Cacti! And this is the idea of the law of increasing opportunity cost. The law says as you produce anything, the opportunity cost to produce it is going to get bigger and bigger. And that explains the shape of the graph. Remember, a straight line production possibilities curve like this shows constant opportunity cost, and a bowed out curve shows the idea of increasing opportunity cost. Now, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, and you can learn more about the production possibilities curve and how it shifts by clicking on this video.
All right. That last bit is kind of confusing, right? But don't worry about it. We will figure it all out. All right, so here's production possibilities. Your class decides to sponsor a community breakfast as a fundraiser. How many people have done fundraisers before? Can you make more money by serving eggs or pancakes if you're doing breakfast, right? Should you offer both? To decide, you'll have to look at the cost of the ingredients, the number of workers you have, the size of your kitchen, and also, does it take more time to make scrambled eggs or to flip pancakes? What will you decide? How much affects how much money you will raise? Let's go back to that real quickly. So, do you guys see how this works? Like, if you're anybody that's done a fundraiser before, you know that you're going to have to look at your costs, right? What can we sell? What do students want to buy at school? So you're doing this at school, and say you're going to do breakfast, like it says here in the example. So then it's like, okay, well, what kind of breakfast? And for some reason, they're focused on eggs and pancakes, right? Now, those are very different breakfasts, right? I mean, eggs, you're talking protein, you're talking about I guess it's considered a dairy product, right? That you have to keep refrigerated, and you're going to have to you have to scramble those up, take some different utensils. A little bit more concern about food contamination there, probably. You got to make sure they're cooked long enough to raise to a certain temperature. Pancakes, a little different, right? I mean, it's a breaded. It might have eggs, it might not. A lot of pancake mixes, they don't really require eggs. Now, if you make waffles, then they usually have eggs, but just the pancake mix, usually you can get away without an egg. So you're talking a little safer, just probably add water, stir it up, pour it on the griddle, right? So in the sense of making it easy, I think pancakes are going to be easier, right? The question is, can you sell them for the same price? If you can make 2 pancakes for every egg that you make, I think you could definitely sell 2 pancakes for the price of 1 egg. And you could probably make even more pancakes at the same time, right? Depending on the size of the griddle. Cost, pancakes are definitely going to be cheaper, right? In terms of ingredients. But you can see, like, say you're going to do both. Say you have 1 griddle. Now your size of your griddle, you can see right there scarcity. There's only so much griddle space that you have. So now if you decide to do 4 pancakes, say you got no room for eggs, right? If you do 2 pancakes, say you do have room for eggs, right? And you can see how things would play out like that, right? And you could have these things on a graph and you could figure it all out. Okay, this is a farmer. We've talked about farming a couple other times. And Clifford talked about it as well. Sometimes you can substitute a crop 1 for 1. I think he was talking about corn and wheat, where it was a perfectly symmetrical or reciprocal curve. If you increase one by 1, it decreased the other by 1. There was no increasing opportunity cost. It was a constant opportunity cost. So farmers are always talking about this kind of stuff. What should they plant? What does that mean in terms of profits and other outcomes? Here's what it looks like in a table. So here we have watermelons and shoes, and this is based on the textbook. It had a example of a fictitious place called Capeland. And Capeland could produce, as a country, watermelons and shoes. And these are in the millions. So if you see 15 at the top there, 15 million pairs of shoes is what it represents. And on the watermelon side, if you go down to the last row, 21 million tons of watermelon, right? So that's what it looks like. These are the trade-offs at every level. Let's see what it looks like here. Production possibility curves give useful information. Why do we use graphs? Graphs are used because you can convey a lot of information in a small area, right? And you can show relationships between two variables, X and Y, whatever it is, right? And that's one of the reasons we use graphs. They can show, now this production possibility curve is a specific type of graph, and it can show how efficient an economy is, right? And if you decide to increase or decrease on a product, you can actually just move along the curve and find out if you want to increase a certain product, what the opportunity cost is going to be to the other product, right? All right, so here's a couple graphs that are commonly used when we talk about the economy. Is the economy good or is the economy bad right now, right? This is what you're going to hear a lot about with politics, right? Is the economy good under Trump or is it bad under Trump, right? He's coming up for election. That's the main, usually Americans will vote on how they're doing economically, right? Or how they perceive the country doing economically. So we'll see if that plays out this election. But here we have the US unemployment rate spiking, right? In 2009. Actually, if you saw this for today, this curve would go down over here to 2013, but then it would shoot back up over here, right? It's going to shoot back up in 2020 because of COVID-19, right? But anyway, we're just looking at this period of time, which is a period of 7 years. And we see that it spikes out at 2009 in terms of unemployment rate, 10%. And then down below, we see GDP, which is going to be your gross domestic product. It basically is the dollar figure for all goods and services produced in the United States. So that's everything, right? If you have a little business, that's included in this. That's why it's in the trillions of dollars, right? So the GDP was approximately, in 2009, was approximately 14 point, I would say, $4 trillion, right? Sounds like a lot of money, but look at where it was in 2013, closer to 16 trillion, which is a significant increase, right? And now, as I said before, we look at graphs because they tell us the relationship, or they can imply a relationship between different variables. In this case, unemployment and GDP. When unemployment rises, the economy is operating at efficiency, or at inefficiency and inefficiently. And the overall productivity decreases. So the implied relationship here is that when the unemployment rate goes up, GDP goes down, right? Now, in a lot of cases, it's not a cause and effect. I would say in this case, it probably is, but you do have to be aware that it might just be a correlation, or it might not even be related. So you have to ask yourself what's going on and kind of dig behind it to see if there is a relationship between the two variables and whether it's a cause and effect. Okay, here's that production possibility curve, or the production possibility frontier. Anything on the orange line is efficient, right? Now, what they're doing there with the C is they're saying, now remember, Mr. Clifford said it's impossible to have production way out there, right? What he means is it's impossible given the current environment. If you have a significant change in the environment, say like a technological breakthrough, or a baby boom, population growth in a country, you will see the production possibility curve shift outward, and we'll get to that later in this class. But that's what they have here represented in the book. What we're really talking about today, though, is along that orange line. Like, those are all efficient uses of resources, right? Analyze graph based on the curve. How would you describe a situation in Cape Land produces 10 million tons of watermelon and 10 million pairs of shoes? Okay, so 10 and 10. How would you describe that? Is it efficient or inefficient? 10 million tons of watermelon and 10 million pairs of shoes. Find that on the graph and tell me if that's an efficient use or inefficient or underutilization. So we know, it, as you said, it's an underutilization because we can graph it out. 10 and 10 would put the point right here, right? And that's below this curve, which is our efficiency curve, right? Our production possibility curve, right? All right, so this is a picture of farmland, but then you see like this urban development, this housing development in the bottom of the picture. The opportunity cost of housing is the crop that could have been grown on this farmland, right? And on a very real scenario, the people who own these plots of land, right, that are farmers, they might be considering, or they might have been approached by housing developers saying, hey, you know, I'll give you X number of dollars if you sell me your land, right? So their opportunity cost for farming could be considered a selling it off to a housing developer, right? Maybe if that is their best alternative. Okay, so let's got a couple questions here to wrap things up. Drawing on production possibility curves helps a country's economists determine A, which good the country can produce, B, which resources should be used to produce goods, C, how the production of one good affects the production of another, or D, how many factories and how much farmland should a country have? Okay, which one is it? Right, yeah, it's C. Remember, these graphs show the relationship between goods, how the production of one good affects the production of another. The points on the production possibility frontier, or the curve, all represent A, efficient use of resources, B, the cost of using resources, C, underutilization of resources, or D, different types of resources. The points on the production possibility frontier all represent, yes, no, let's see, I answered too quickly, let's see. I don't see the right answer. The points on the production possibility frontier all represent A, the efficient use of resources. Good job there, Hector, Fatima. Let's see if we got any more. No, that's it. Okay, so that is all I have for you. The assignment is posted on Google Classroom.